Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, October 23rd. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect partly cloudy skies and a high of 87 degrees in San Antonio today. We're looking at temperatures in the mid-70s on Saturday before a return to the upper 80s on Sunday. In preparation for the spookiest holiday of the year, area officials and residents showed what a safe, socially distanced Halloween should look like. We have some ideas to prepare a safe, socially distant Halloween at expressnews.com. As of Thursday, 326,280 Bexar County residents have voted in person ahead of the November 3rd general election, but there's a new app making the process easier for those who haven't. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood posed for a photo while eating sushi off a mostly nude woman at a firefighter's birthday party this year. The use of a nude female as a platter for sushi, called body sushi or naked sushi, is part of the Japanese practice of nyotai mori. Its origins are unclear, though some academic studies and news articles trace it to the pre-modern samurai era. More recently, it's been criticized for objectifying and degrading women. I certainly didn't intend to offend anyone, and if I did, I sincerely apologize, Hood said. Over the years, Hood has disciplined a number of firefighters and other employees for behavior and conduct that he deemed inappropriate or offensive. Emily Eaton has more on the photo and the reactions to it at expressnews.com. No one has been criminally charged with starting the 2018 fire that killed 5 young people at a San Marcos apartment complex. But the resulting lawsuits have turned out someone to blame. In court documents, the owners and managers of iconic Village Apartments, along with other companies being sued because of the catastrophe, are now accusing a Medina County man of causing the blaze. The lawsuit defendants have denied any liability and are asking a state district judge to designate Ryan Castro as a responsible third party. Peggy O'Hare explains what it means and why the 2013 Texas State graduate is being blamed. With a small but growing number of people whose lungs have been decimated by COVID-19 in need of double lung transplants, doctors at University Hospital are on the cusp of performing the complex procedures. To date, a handful of transplant centers in the United States have transplanted lungs into patients who were largely healthy before the virus caused irreversible damage to their organs. The surgeries have only been considered for patients who have no other chance of survival. Typically, a lung transplant will take 5 to 6 hours. The surgery for the first COVID patient in the U.S. who got new lungs took about 10 hours. Lauren Karuba has more on these procedures one doctor described as a combination of some of the most difficult parts of many of our transplants rolled into one. There are 3 big congressional and legislative battleground races involving San Antonio right now. U.S. District 21, U.S. District 23, and Texas House District 121. All 3 are currently held by Republicans, but all of them look wide open in this election cycle. In these tight races, at this tense moment in our history, it all comes down to our fear. One side is working the fear of a society without law enforcement. The other side is working the fear of a pandemic-ravaged society without health insurance protections. Nerves are getting frayed, facts are getting stretched, and voters are left to make sense of it all. Gilbert Garcia goes in-depth on the issues in his latest column. To keep our readers up to date on the path of COVID-19, the Express News has built a dashboard of interactive graphics showing the spread of the virus in the San Antonio area, in Texas as a whole, and across the United States. We've also created an interactive map of San Antonio for COVID-19 testing sites that don't require a doctor's referral. You can find a link to the dashboard and the interactive map in this episode's description. Also, be sure to check out other Express News podcasts such as Puro Politics, In Depth, and the Express News editorial board. You can find links to those podcasts in this episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. Early voting runs through Friday, October 30th in Texas. Check out our 2020 Voters Guide for more information about voting, the candidates, ballot measures, and more. Our map of early voting sites also includes information about how many votes have been cast at each location. Former Vice President Joe Biden leads in Texas in a poll of more than 3,000 likely voters released Thursday that show him with a 1 percentage point edge over President Donald Trump. No matter what the polls favor, they should be viewed cautiously this year. Perhaps more than any, especially in Texas, a state pollsters say isn't easy to gauge accurately. Benjamin Werman tells us why at expressnews.com. After months-long closures caused by the coronavirus pandemic, San Antonio bars now can reopen with some restrictions, Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf said Thursday. The Alamo has selected a team to design a new building on the east side of the state's historic complex to house 400-plus documents and artifacts donated by musician Phil Collins. As San Antonio's private universities have suffered losses in enrollment, the Alamo College's district this year has hundreds more students enrolled than it did this time last year, despite the ongoing pandemic and economic recession. The Express News is answering your questions about early voting on Election Day in Bexar County. You can submit a question and read answers at the link in this episode's description. The pandemic is changing San Antonio's restaurant dining scene, and new trends are appearing. Expect to see streamlined menus and less staff, more outdoor seating, and continued focus on curbside, delivery, and makeshift drive-thrus. With sporting events, concerts, and other gatherings upended by the coronavirus pandemic, concessions contractor Aramark is cutting 287 employees at the AT&T Center. Revenue at New Braunfels-based Rush Enterprises, the largest commercial truck dealership network in North America, sank more than $400 million, or 26%, in the third quarter amid the pandemic. Several community members and parishioners are celebrating the success of a year-long campaign for improvements to a Helotes intersection some citizens had called the death curve. A second whistleblower who accused Attorney General Ken Paxton of public corruption has been fired, potentially exposing the state to liability for illegal retaliation. When the Express News editorial board first learned the city of San Antonio had signed off on a fundraiser for as many as 1,000 people at La Villita, their immediate reaction was a strong no. Read the latest editorial to find out why. Sports columnist Mike Finger writes, quote, Mike McCarthy could launch an investigation to uncover the identity of the disgruntled player who took a blowtorch to the Cowboys coaching staff with comments to the NFL Network, but that would be a waste of time. An architectural gem on the city's beleaguered east side, the Redberry Mansion has had a history as colorful as its namesake, the politician, casino opener, and possible murderer who built it, Virgil E. Redberry. Now completely restored by its owner, San Antonio catering firm RK Group, and with the addition of several facilities, the city's newest event center still makes playful bows to that history. You can read more about the restoration and see more photos at the link in this episode's description. San Antonio loves its empanadas, but when most of us walk into a panaderia, we're scooping up bags of pastry stuffed with pineapple, strawberry, sweet potato, and other sugary fillings. But mastering the savory empanadas popular throughout South America and the Caribbean can transform those handheld delights into a complete meal. Paul Stevens shows us how in his latest article. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the first-year varsity program at the Young Men's Leadership Academy will only play 2 games. Coach Tony Green wants to make the most of it. Tacos, beer, and ice cream are about as elemental as it gets. But in the new wave of San Antonio restaurant openings flying defiantly in the face of the pandemic, those building blocks are taking on creative shapes. Hallmark will unwrap its first of 40 new Christmas movies for 2020 on Saturday. We have what you need to know about the holiday TV tradition at expressnews.com. Calvin Finch has your guide to the flower annuals to plant now to get you through the winter, while Neil Sperry answers readers' questions about replacing those rose bushes and more in his down-to-earth column. And that's all for today. This was your Express briefing for Friday, October 23rd. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.